Hello, everybody. Welcome to Skiba News Nation Livestream.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Hey there, Opa. Opa, what's going on? How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm still upright, hanging in there.
Good, good. Well, a lot of you might be wondering, where's Jeremiah Skiba? This is Skiba News Nation after all. Well, you guys will be pleased to know that he's kicking around with Jim Brewer tonight, famous comedian, buddying up there with the boss mob of Comedy Land. So yeah, we're holding down the fort, and we were really wondering, okay, what do we do that Jeremiah's not here, and who you gonna call? Well, we decided to activate the new the bat signal, so to speak. It's the Zach Lewis 777 signal. So please join us in welcoming our good buddy Zach Lewis. What's up, bro?
What's up, brother? Thank you so much for having me, man. I love the logo.
Yeah, well, you have such a great insight on current events. You are one of the most banned TikTokers that I personally know. So you got to have some good insight somewhere up in there.
I guess most of the videos they banned were of Rob, so it's kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't like Rob too much.
Well,
yeah, we're actually going to start off tonight's live stream with something that ties into one of the topics Rob really loved to talk about. It's actually one of my favorite topics that Rob would teach on, and it's all tying into this recent interview that Tucker Carlson had with Mike Huckabee. And a lot of people kind of looking at this situation. There's been claims of anti-Semitism thrown out back and forth. And I wanted to start off before we actually show that with a short clip talking about the greatest form of intelligence, because it's very important that we all put on our smart hats and put away the cog dis so that we can dive into a very hairy topic, which is the identity crisis in relation to the true people of the book. And it ties into who can actually make aliyah to the land of Israel, and who actually are the seed of Abraham, and what that all ties into. So it's something that was brought up in that Mike Huckabee interview, but we'll kick off with that first little clip here. It's the highest form of intelligence. Check this out.
It isn't IQ, it isn't logic, it isn't memory or speed. According to neuroscientists, the rarest intelligence is something entirely different. Most people never develop it, and those who do quietly outgrow everyone around them. The highest form of intelligence is metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. Not reacting blindly, not running on autopilot, but observing your mind in real time. It means noticing your thoughts, questioning your reactions, interrupting emotional reflexes, and updating beliefs instead of defending them. Every time you say, wait, why did I react like that? Your brain starts changing. Neuroscientists found that when you observe your own thoughts, a region called the anterior prefrontal cortex activates. This region isn't for action, it isn't for emotion, it's for self-observation. Your brain literally turns its attention inward. Most people run their mental software automatically. Metacognition is different. It's like a computer that can edit its own programs while running. That's why self-aware people evolve so much faster than anyone else. This isn't some kind of mindset's wacko fluff. It's a neuroelectric remodeling. Awareness edits the file system. And most people never develop this because metacognition is extremely uncomfortable. It requires pausing instead of reacting, questioning instead of defending, and watching yourself fail honestly. And your ego hates this. But growth requires it.
Okay, so before we carry on, I had to start off with explaining to people this introspection, right? That you have to be able to question your own thought process. Why do people have a knee-jerk reaction? Why do people in their minds kind of go in autopilot? What is cognitive dissonance? And how is this a dangerous thing that makes people join a side in the two-party system that can be controlled and manipulated. And how does this tie into theology as well? We're going to dive into all of these topics, and I'm really glad Zach's here to make a comment on it. But did you guys have any thoughts? Do you guys believe what she's saying, that is one of the highest forms of intelligence?
No, not really. It sounded kind of New World Order, Nimrod, something. It was a little weird.
Yeah, it seemed weird to me too.
It's like, is it a program in your mind that's going to tell you when not to say something? Like, hey, can't say that.
So yeah, the word metacognition that she was using, I was reinterpolating, right, to not be the new age metaphysical kind of sciencey term, but rather introspection is really what she was describing. Just the fact that you can observe how you think about a topic and question yourself, and the ability to question oneself is not what a lot of people are willing to do, and so that's kind of what I was agreeing with her on. But I know, you know, the crazy terminology, all that can definitely be twisted and used for what, like we were describing. But
yeah, in the beginning of it, it kind of seemed like, I was like, well, this seems kind of biblical. Just, think before you act, kind of.
Yeah. It's like somehow somebody outside of a biblical worldview described to us what repentance is.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So anyways, I'm not to spoil the vibe or direction we were going here with my crazy, new ageist girl here, but I wanted to kind of draw this point that people have inherited a lot of different systems of thinking. One of those systems of thinking in terms of theology is called dispensational belief, and kind of dispensational theology. And it's actually goes hand in hand with the Zionistic mindset that separates the church from Israel of the book, right? And we're gonna all talk about this and how it relates to a very important question that Tucker was asking Mike Huckabee. Now, a little backstory on this: in our last show, Tucker, there was a report that Tucker was held, and being treated badly when he visited Israel. They were questioning him, all kinds of stuff, and it was all because he had this interview with Mike Huckabee, and he was asking him some pointed questions. So let's hear a little blurb of that interview that Tucker Carlson had with Mike Huckabee.
Abram's descendants are the ones who have the right to have this land, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we do genetic testing on everybody in the land and find out who Abram's descendants are? It's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Would you be against doing that?
I have no idea what that would prove. I mean, really? Maybe it would be.
What do you mean? It would prove who Abram's descendants are and who has a right to live here and who doesn't, according to the theology that you yourself just explained. And so I'm very confused as to why we don't do that. If you believe the theology that you've just explained to me.
Would we do that all over the world?
Well, and everybody this is the only country in the world that you've said has this covenant with God, that this people have a moral and legal right to the land.
What about people who convert to Judaism? Would they have a right?
You told me moments ago, trying to keep track,
okay,
that it doesn't matter whether or not you believe in God or whether or not you practice Torah Judaism or Rabbinic Judaism, which is something else that I don't even know if we should, I don't even know what that means, but it doesn't matter whether you're, quote, a religious Jew or not. What matters is that you are part of the Jewish people to whom God gave this land that extends from the Nile to the Euphrates. And so if you believe that, wouldn't you want to know with a burning passion who those people are? And because of science, we can now know who those people are. So why aren't we finding out?
I guess you could propose a DNA test for everybody who comes here, everybody who lives here. But the point
I'm comfortable with secular nation states where none of this is done on the basis of blood. I'm uncomfortable with that. I'll just say that.
So, that's just a quick blurb, and curious your thoughts on the topic of the seed of Abraham, right? Because the modern nation state of Israel, some of the things that Mike Huckabee slung at Tucker Carlson was unfounded conspiracies questioning the genetic identity of the Jewish people. But really what I heard from the interview was Tucker, in kind of roundabout way describing the big question that kind of can be framed by the Ephraim awakening. The big question of what is the difference between Judah and Israel before the 12 tribes split up into two houses? What is the difference between the northern house of Israel and the southern house of Judah and those who went into the dispersion? Who has the right of return? He asks the questions like, well, a Jewish person who converted to Christianity is oftentimes barred from making aliyah to the promised land. And a lot of the different conundrum and questions regarding who's actually allowed to be there, who can claim to be a Jew, and who can point the finger and say you're anti-Semitic. So maybe, some initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of show some clips that Rob put out a few years ago talking about this topic of the Ephraim awakening, why it's so important today in regards to this big question mark behind the nation state of Israel.
Yeah, I think Rob's his information into the Ephraim awakening is like probably the most important information I've ever learned. It literally shows that the Ephraim awakening was the beginning of the truth-seeking movement. I mean, it all started with that, and that eye-opening moment when Ephraim wakes up in a pig pen and he realizes that he disobeyed, and now he's got to go back and find. And it was awesome journey going through that with Rob and finding our true biblical presidents in the Bible. But I do think I don't even think that. I mean, they are dispersed. And I don't think that it says that God would bring them back. It never says that, hey, go over and take it yourself or have the Rothschilds buy it for you. So that's my thought.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me play this clip before we show Rob's, just to kind of give people a taste of what a dispensationalist mindset leads to and how it ties to the term Zionism. And then we're going to show the kind of the flip of the coin of somebody kind of tapping into the true identity of the people of the book and what it means to come back and to serve the Most High and to be his people and to be Israel. So check this out. This is a post from Newsmax, and the CEO actually won a award for being a Zionist hero. And so let's just kind of hear their perspective describing this topic of the land of Israel and what Tucker was discussing here with Mike Huckabee.
You go to any church or government building, the cornerstone is most often visible. It's not usually buried in some dark subterranean corner of the foundation, never to be seen. It is the stone from which the building springs upward. There can be no doubt, however, that the building that became Western political thought and therefore the free world was built on a foundation of Judaism. Without millennia of Jewish faith and struggle, there is no Christianity. The foundation is an often unseen and much smaller component of the building structure, but it is nonetheless completely indispensable. After thousands of years of war and diaspora, Israel represents the enduring presence of Jews in the Holy Land and the protection of that biblical history. Communists and Islamists understand the critical nature of Jews and Judaism to human society. It's fundamental. That's why they attack Judaism, not just Israel, and they want to see it erased from the Middle East. Israel is therefore not just a political jurisdiction. It is a representation of Jewish political, economic, and spiritual power that is related to Christianity and related to Western society and the free world. The jihadists and the Marxists both know that a building unsupported by its foundation will crumble. If Judaism is broken through the erasure of Jews from the Middle East, which is the goal of the Palestinians and the radical Islamists, then Christianity will also become more vulnerable. Spreading generically anti-Israel messaging is anti-Semitic because weakening Israel's right to existence will lead to not only the killing of more Jews, but the erosion of Judeo-Christian principles upon which the Western world is based.
Okay, so maybe just a quick comment here, and then we're going to play Rob's clip talking about a perspective explaining the Ephraim awakening. And I mean, Zach, what do you think about a lot of these charges of anti-Semitism and people kind of connecting some of the, the people in the Epstein files with a certain 4-letter terminology and some of the things that this gentleman was talking about how if the nation state fails, then basically the whole pyramid crumbles, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that, like you were saying with the dispensationalist, it's like they're clinging on to this view, and if their view falls, they believe that their whole entire system will fall. When the Bible doesn't, the dispensationalist wasn't even around when the biblical authors wrote the scriptures. So I think they're getting a lot of things confused and a lot of things, mixed in. That's kind of why we see, content creators now, and even who knows, pastors are getting paid to spout this type of nonsense. But yeah, it's very it's disheartening to see, honestly.
Yeah, to me, it's understandable. It's like when somebody's whole Christian worldview is built off of dispensationalism, which Mike Huckabee's worldview is dispensationalist in its basis, which is a separation of the identity of the Jewish people of the people of the book with the church, and it becomes these two compatriot things that have to exist side by side, but then not realizing that having that mentality that splits the people of the book into two entities, it creates a conundrum that can be manipulated, can be a misrepresentation of, I think, the truth. And so let's talk about, one of the truths that I loved Rob Skiba would share over the years, and it's a breakdown here of the Ephraim awakening, and it's very, very pertinent to some of the ongoing anti-Semitic conversation and the talk about the nation state of Israel today.
Therefore, my brothers, you also were put to death in relation to the law. Which law? The whole law, or just like Doug pointed out, the law of the bride, right? Through the crucified body of the Messiah, so that you may belong to another, to him who was raised from the dead. Who was raised from the dead? Right. That we may bear fruit for God. Hosea talks in 2, verses 17 through 20. O Israel, I will wipe the many names of Baal from your lips, and you will never mention them again. I long for that day. I don't get all crazy about, in the sacred name movement, some people get all really wrapped around the axle about things. But I love it when I grew up in a King James only environment, and I read the King James. I've studied it since age 7. It's my preferred study Bible to this day. But when they try to tell me it is perfect and literal word for word translation, I'm going, word for word? How in the world can you say that when they replaced the holy name of God over 6,000 times? 6,000 times, over 6,000 times. They took the name of God out and put a title, which basically means Baal, or Baal means the Lord. That just, I think it's important that we know his name. I don't think God gets upset that we're pronouncing it wrong. If we're saying Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuwah, whatever, he's happy that we're at least trying to say his name. We're doing the best we can with consonants, But he's going to wipe away the names of the Baals, and he's going to make you his wife again, showing you righteousness and justice, unfailing love and compassion. I will be faithful to you and make you mine, and you will finally know me, not as the Lord. It just says I'm going to wipe the names of the Baals out of here. You will finally know. I love it when it says, my name is the Lord is my name. That's not a name. That's a title. But when we talk about the Baals of the world, this is what we're talking about. And I would contend that most of these go directly back to Nimrod. And I'll talk about that more in tomorrow's session. Hosea 2, 22 through 23. Then the earth will answer the thirsty cries of the grain, the grapevines and olive trees, and they in turn will answer Jezreel, God plants. At that time I will plant a crop of Israelites and raise them for myself. I will show love to those I called not love, and to those I called not my people. I will say, now you are my people, and they will reply, you are our God. Who is he talking about? Israel. right? Oh, well, now all of a sudden you know what Paul's talking about. Because he's quoting Hosea. Yeah, oops. I just got into a debate with somebody on Facebook about this whole Gentile thing. I'm like, don't call me a Gentile. I'm not a Gentile. I was born a Gentile, but according to Romans, if I've accepted Yeshua as my Savior, I'm grafted into the cultivated olive tree. I mean, like Paul breaks it down for us if you just read him. I mean, go ahead and make a kindergarten picture for you if you have to. If you were not blood born into the house of Israel, then you're of the wild olive tree over here. If you are born blood into the house of Jacob, then you are of the cultivated olive tree with Hebrew roots. Right? But if you don't believe in Yeshua, what happens to your branch? Right? But if you're over here in the cultivated with the wild olive tree with pagan roots, but you do believe in Yeshua, what happens? Well, you get grafted in. Or if you are a blood-born Israelite that previously didn't know Yeshua and decide you want to accept Yeshua, what happens to you? Get put back in. But there's only one tree. There's only one church. It's Israel. I mean, it's pretty simple. Doug touched on this also, Ephraim and Judah. And basically, and Doug and I have had conversations offline about this before. It's like in the past, we kind of had this view that there were two brides, right? One for God, Israel, and one for Jesus, Christians. No, God has one people, one bride, one plan, which has never changed. John Nelson Darby is the one who invented the bogus doctrine of dispensationalism, creating division where there never was before. What's ironic, though, is that most dispensationalists, when they hear me talking like this, they accuse me of talking about replacement theology. I'm like, no. If you believe this, you believe in replacement theology. If you believe for thousands of years it was Israel, cross, boom, church. That's replacement. Hello? And even that I didn't really fully understand until I married Sheila. She had a 13-year-old son when we got married, and I adopted him and gave him my name. He didn't replace me. He was not a Skiba. Now he is a Skiba. He is heir to whatever my family has to leave for him. He's part of my family now. He didn't replace me. He was grafted into my family. Adopted. And that's what Paul's talking about. Romans 7 through 11, Ephesians 2, grafting option.
Beautiful. Man, of all the topics that Rob talked about, I agree with you. This is one of the most important. And man, just maybe your thoughts off the bat there, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, just like he said, it really comes down to the belief in Yeshua. I mean, you can be a natural born Israelite, descendant from Abraham himself, but if you do not believe in Yeshua, it's for none. But you can be like myself, a Polish, Irish, Gentile, Goyim, whatever you want to call me. But since I believe in Yeshua and I try to obey him as much as I can, I am grafted into this tree. So, in a sense, I am Israel.
Which really, in a lot of ways, takes the fire away from some of the claims that we are hearing out of the nation state. And it also answers Tucker Carlson's question about who truly should be allowed to make aliyah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And man, Opa, do you have any thoughts?
It's a hard me watching Rob, but yeah, I think he made a lot of good points. He really did.
I mean, because if you really think about it, he predicted the truth movement uprising. Like he predicted this before it even happened. And with this whole Babylon rising, realizing that, right around that time, it pretty much was the Great Awakening. I mean, every time I think of it, he predicted it,
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think are very important. And we have a lot of people that watch our show that might think, oh, these guys are like joking around about the 4-letter term, or maybe they are not, understanding that we should really support Israel, right? How can you guys be, Christians or believers or whatever? But when you understand that, actually, let me just pause and directly address our handlers that are likely watching our stream right now, because, we've been touching on some of these points. Brother Ephraim is waking up, and even the rabbis, there's a well-established kind of teaching that when Brother Ephraim wakes up and returns, this prodigal returning, that the name of the Messiah will be on their lips. And guess what the name of the Messiah is? It's Yeshua. And it's pretty profound. When you talk about the fullness of the Gentiles and the blindness of Israel, and how there have been people that, the scepter shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh comes and a lawgiver between his feet. And it is true that there have been people throughout the ages that have preserved their identity, that have even lived in the land for a very long time. And in no way are we their, enemy, or, we look down, we kind of look at them as big brother Judah, right? Well, in this day and age, now that the curse of blindness to Israel has come to an end, we're waking up and we're realizing our identity. And that's why we're compatriots. That's why we're pro-Torah. That's why we are seeking to keep the Sabbath and do all these things. And so having that idea, that mentality, it's like the perfect, disarm for the whole interview, question that Tucker was asking Mike. And you can see, because Mike comes from that dispensational mindset, there was a lot of misfiring in his answering of those questions. So anyways,
I don't have the toot horn, but I'll go toot toot.
Hey, we got a super chat here. Let's read it out. Rob teaching of pick a stick. Thank you. One old guy's opinions. All right. Well, I'm going to rapid fire through several news stories, gentlemen, and I'll pause after each one, and I just love to hear your thoughts. And we'll get through these, and then Opa has a few clips for us as well. But yeah, just wanted to start off with that because Zach, you're one of those people out there that I've watched your material, and I know that you see this very, very important topic, and a lot of attention has been on Rob recently. And talking about Nephilim, talking about Nimrod, talking about all this stuff, talking about flat earth research, whatever. But just like you, I believe that this topic, the Ephraim awakening, the identity crisis that the church has found themselves in, is the most important thing that he would talk about. And it's very important to touch on.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's hit it off. Basically, World War III is at the doorstep. Here's a Moon Henry and some of the things he's noticed recently as escalating tensions bring, I guess, the end of the world nigh or whatever. I don't know. Check this out.
This is the weekend it all goes down, and yes, this is WW3. This comes from Bannon, who just met with the president yesterday. A massive attack was just launched in Iran. Shut up. And they just came out and said if any U.S. strike happens, that everybody is going down. The part about all of this is they said, first, if it comes down to war or quitting enriching, we're going to war definitely, that they're not going to stop enriching. And second, they said that if we're giving aid to their enemy, that we are part of this. And read this right here to see what these people have been working on. Have you read it?
But there's others. I'm just reporting what I'm hearing from pretty good sources. The party is on. So another big weekend in this unfolding aspect of the Third World War. And no, anyone that's telling you that the Third World War is not here is absolutely does not understand.
And as 3 major military compounds have just been hit in Iran, they also came out and said it'd be much easier to hit us in the Middle East. And this all happens while Trump comes back from his vacation and the B-2 bomber is getting in place. And of course, they've been getting seafood and steak all across America, all different military bases. And by the way, the Army's birthday was last week, not this week, and this was 2 days ago. Very odd timing. Before I show you the craziest part, now we have Tulsi Gabbard coming out saying that they are within weeks after saying they weren't. Pretty odd. At the same time as that, we also have them coming out saying they know that we have been involved with the U.S. since the very beginning. Maybe Ted Cruz's fraudulent slip, but by far the craziest part is what she said right here, which did not get nearly enough attention. Now listen closely to what she says.
This is a big deal. Listen to
We are in
this.
deep shit. When I say that we are in deep shit, we are in deep shit. You see these four right here? These are CEOs, COOs from Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI, multi-billionaires who are being sworn into our U.S. Army reserves as lieutenant colonels.
So it's definitely happening. And don't forget, we can't see anything that's happening in the other country that starts with an I. And Iran has literally been in a blackout for days. Y'all better get ready. And I'll go ahead and say, I will not be drafted.
And this is the USS Gerald R. Ford making its way through the Strait of Hormuz towards Iran. Like all the battleships are moving. Pretty intense, but oh yeah. And by the way, at the same time, Mexico is breaking loose because some cartel leaders recently got taken out, and so they're going into chaos, which is the southern border of the U.S. too. It's interesting, but yeah, with that share, I just want to get your opinions, guys. Isn't it interesting that they're swearing in the CEOs of these AI software companies as I don't know, is it like an honorary colonel that they're making them? Do they have to pass a fitness test? Like, what is that signaling?
Yeah, I think it's just bringing in their buddies, getting ready for the new world order. I mean, honestly, that's gonna be a bad one with Palantir, all that AI software, facial recognition. I mean, we're literally gonna have to be living underground like the Chinese people and the Chinese believers over in China. I mean, they're literally, the church is underground over there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe how they can be sworn in and made colonels. And, does that mean that they can give orders and, what have you? That's crazy. It's madness.
So we had a comment in the chat here. Interesting that they have to take an oath, right? Well,
yeah,
when you
right.
think about the military, how the military operates, if you disobey a superior commanding officer, then you can be court-martialed. You can be getting in a lot of trouble. If they tell you to push a button to and enslave mankind and that you're disobeying a direct order, then boom, you're court-martialed. And so I think it's an element of bringing in these tech heads into this mechanism that can be, directed by the military industrial complex.
Yeah, maybe so. But there's also a thing that says, if you disobey an order because you think that it is inhumane, wrong, or against humanity, then you wouldn't be court-martialed. But still, I don't understand why they had to be sworn in. It's just crazy.
Yeah, they're gonna get a pension.
All of the oh, go ahead.
They're gonna get a pension.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. They don't need that money. They're all billionaires anyways. Yeah, it's I think it's very significant. All of the prophetic sounding conspiracy theorists, I don't believe they're actually prophets, but they're all saying Monday or Tuesday we're gonna see some type of strike on Iran. So we'll see if they're accurate, but it's definitely the claim going out that a big war with Iran is about to kick off.
That's interesting. The Epstein file said World War III would be, what was it, February 26th or something like that?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we got a super chat. Opa, you got the whistle for us?
I just did it, but I'll do it again. Toot toot.
We got a big one here. Unfortunately for me, I was commissioned officer and I have an activation clause in my contract. Where are the two profits? Commissioned officers do not have that in their oath, but the enlisted have that in their oath. Oh, okay. Interesting. So enlisted have that, the clause.
Huh.
That's okay.
I didn't know
and
that.
where are the two witnesses? I mean, that's a big question. People have been awaiting the two witnesses of Revelation, and it definitely wouldn't mind running into one of those guys.
It would be awesome, dude. It would be awesome,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're gonna see them on TV or the internet.
Yeah, somebody get a message to the two witnesses of Revelation that they need to get on TikTok.
Get out to
So, you mentioned it, Zach, that this is all setting up to move into the New World Order. And this is why I believe the Epstein full release has just happened, that we are moving into the World War III bell calls and stuff, that we had all of the drop happen right before the big two events like the Winter Olympics and the Super Bowl. People saw the reality of the files, and then they went straight back to sleep so that the next morning they could wake up and go drinking with their buddies to watch the Super Bowl. Which, oh, hey, we go. The part of disobeying an order of the officer above you is in the enlisted oath. The commissioned officers do not. Oh, very interesting. So, so why do I think all these things are happening? I think it's because this is the Great Reset. We heard the bell calls of the Great Reset back in 2020, and that definitely started kind of the mechanism rolling. But because the old world system is being burned to the ground, that's why we're finding out how it worked, and it's being verified as true. It's all coming to light because they're not going to use that old way of manipulation and political corruption anymore. Now we're entering into the New World Order, which is going to be an AI superstate. And so they don't mind that we're all finding out the truth about the E guy, and all that stuff.
Sorry. Good.
Oh, no, sorry. I can run there, Zach, so jump in at any time.
No, my bad. I was just going to say, I think you're onto something, because with all this darkness that they're putting out, it kind of seems like they don't care that we know, and it seems like they're setting us up for a savior type.
Yeah. My final little comment on the E stuff. I kind of came up with this ultimate theory in our last episode, and it was that the reason they're revealing that there was like a genetic kind of longevity aspect to this, it's tied to his ranch, his Zorro Ranch, trying to create superhumans, and it's tied to the Peter Nygaard stuff Jeremiah has been investigating. It's all tied to longevity, long life, and adrenochrome and all that kind of crazy sick stuff, right? Well, my theory is that they're showing us the reality of how things have been implemented to keep the rich living long, and they're scaring us with this boogeyman so that we run right into the arms of genetic manipulation through men in white lab coats, because we're not going to do it the evil way, which is harvesting children's adrenalized blood to live longer. But did you know a much more ethical way is to just corrupt your genome with mRNA Vs? So I think that's part of the revelation of method of confirming how the blood cults have existed till today, and that is how they have been extending their lifespans.
Yeah, I agree. 2045, the initiative.
Oh yeah, it's all about transhumanism. It's both the metamorphosis of mankind into something greater through genetic manipulation, Days of Noah, but it's also the mechanical mixing the miry clay with iron, right? It's the combination of this AI system that we can all start to see the world through meta glasses, and we have ChatGPT think for us, and then we just become these walking automatons of whatever spirit influenced ChatGPT. And we're going to talk about AI here a little bit. Let's show this next clip, which is a fascinating video Benny Johnson put out. It's basically talking about the education system, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. All right, check this out. One moment. My screen
We're
wasn't
live.
there.
We're live.
Yeah. Live stream, everybody. Hold on.
Can't edit it.
I know. Okay. Hold on. All right. Try number 2, everybody. Sorry.
wanted to design a learning environment that was directly opposed to what the brain is naturally good at doing, you design a frickin' classroom.
Most systems of public education that are compulsory do look remarkably like factory production and not at all like the kind of organic ways that people actually grow and develop.
Education in America is like the prison system in America, like many institutions in America, is corrupt.
We will not walk away.
I'm about to go undercover. Where are the funds going? Where's all this money going to education?
I love the model right now of what the Satanic Temple is doing. That's a good model.
What they're doing is satanic. You're selling these children alive.
About 6 months after the club meeting, she left us a suicide note because she did not know how to live in the body that God gave her.
The family unit has been under attack for a very long time.
But you got to get to them first before the parent does. And this is what they want to give kids. I'm mutilated.
Who's running the show? And it does trickle back up to National Education Association or AFT. They will not relinquish their control.
They see it as an institution to indoctrinate kids into their worldview. They fight against parental rights every step of the way.
I'll give you a little secret lie that every president has told. That is,
something had to give. We have a fixed number of hours in the school day. So many districts across the country reduce their recess time.
Education in the traditional environment is only going to get worse. Parents need to get involved in their schools.
Parents have a responsibility to show up and to fight back.
This isn't a charity endeavor. This is an endeavor in which these business people profit.
Imagination is the power to bring into mind things that aren't present, and creativity is putting that to work. Like you making this movie. You know, you could be lying in bed all day thinking about a movie, but here you're actually making it.
So you think?
All right, so I guess kind of why I was showing that is when I started off, I was talking about the mark of intelligence of introspection and how education has allowed a lot of these deceptions to kind of continue on. What are some of your guys' thoughts on, I don't know, the education system and how this stuff is being shoved down our throats?
Good, Opa. I feel like I always jump first.
Yeah, well, I'll let you in because you're our guest,
I appreciate it. But
Well,
I go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I personally think that it's the Roth. I mean, look who funded the creation of the whole entire school program. I mean, the bells, the get up, go to the next class, forget everything you learned. A great book to pretty much dissect and pretty much break down this whole entire idea is the book is by a author named John Taylor Regato. It's called Dumbing Down America, and he was the a New York best teacher. He won the New York's Best Teacher Award 3 years in a row, and he realized that school was pretty much a prison, and he eventually stopped being a teacher.
Yeah. I look back at the time that I went to school and how our classes worked and the number of days and what the teachers taught and everything. And I've seen it over the years just deteriorate and deteriorate and deteriorate. And it's to a point now where I think it's dangerous for the kids to go to schools. They're not learning the proper stuff. They're learning whatever junk that they want to feed them, and they don't know any different. It kind of goes back to a story. I'll do a little quick story, but when I lived in Europe, we had some systems. At that time, there was still the USSR, and there still was a Eastern Bloc. And we had one of our systems over in Germany, and I had to go over there to East Germany to work on the system every so often. And one time I was talking at dinner to the manager of that system, And he was bragging about all these things that how great the East Germans were, how smart they were, how they invented this, that, and the other. So and so invented the light bulb. So and so entered, created the car. So and so did this, that, and the other. And I didn't want to interrupt him or anything because I don't want to get into politics or anything in that situation. But then I got to thinking, that poor guy, when he went to school, that's what they taught him. And he had no idea. He had no idea about anything else outside of his school and East Germany and that world. So to him, everything like that was correct. And I got to thinking, I learned the same stuff in school and they taught me this. How do I know that what's in the textbooks and what they're teaching me is correct? It's one of those, quote, deep thoughts.
Yeah. It's definitely how a lot of this manipulation has been pushed on our generation. It's through the school systems. They have these 15-year kind of spans. It's actually interesting, Opa. It's tied to a Disney principle that Walt Disney had passed down for the movies, how they are to revive them. You might be able to quote this better because you're probably more familiar, but how they revive each generation, they recreate the movies again.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that concept that Walt, he basically wrote in his will that they are to remake Disney movies every 15 years or so?
Well, he wanted to keep things fresh, but I don't think he wanted them to change them and to make them woke. I mean, that's the whole thing. He did want them definitely to keep things fresh in the minds of people, because a lot of their, when you watch a movie back in the 40s, 50s or so on, and then you want to watch, have the kids watch it today, it just may not resonate with them. But you still want to stay away from wokeness. You still want to stay away from all of the evils and everything that are happening in Hollywood and God knows where, Epstein and this, that, and the other, So I think what he wanted and what they're doing is not right.
Yeah, it was more so the pattern I was kind of pointing out is that every certain number of years, they like revive the messaging to the youth is kind of what I was getting at. And it kind of parallels what we see like in the school system is like, I remember when I was in school, they had a whole bunch of different set of agendas. But then as that generation ages up, they become voters, a new set of like curriculum is passed down. And then you had an introduction of like Common Core and all the different trans pro stuff. And that battlefield becomes a thing. And then so it's like each generation has these sets of deceptions that are funneled through the school system. And the way we indoctrinate our children is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to rattle through several other things here. These are very important things. Donald Trump's Board of Peace is set to replace the UN. What do you know? So the Board of Peace is to replace the UN. The U.S. allegedly is withdrawing funding from the UN, and that this new Board of Peace, which has a very interesting biblical parallel number, 10 leaders, right? The 10 Board of Peacers, and how this is replacing. This is literally the new world order. This is the reset, and no longer UN world. Now it's Board of Peace world, right? What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, like you said last time, before peace before sudden destruction.
Yeah, I think a lot of these other nations that haven't joined this movement from Trump basically are worried about the fact that it is replacing the UN, and it's basically going to not be a good thing in the long run. So.
Well, yeah, I did think it was pretty significant. It's all happening in the same time frame as the the war and the reset, the Epstein file, all this stuff. just recently, a Professor Ian Brighthope breaks down in tears in front of thousands in Perth as he kind of is discussing that 60 million plus contaminated Vs have been administered to innocent Australians. And this goes hand in hand with some interesting things like we see here, which is, by the way, Bill Gates having to testify in the Netherlands. Bill Gates being indicted. He's been indicted for lying to the public about the CV, and he's going to trial. You know, huge cheers from good old RFK. But you know, I think this is a really an emotional scene, and it's tied to the corruption of flesh and Days of Noah stuff, like Rob would talk about. And it's just so sad that so many people were duped, and now we're realizing that the now black labeled experimental use Vs have definitely done their damage, and it's really sad how many people have had to, I guess, get duped.
Million doses of the vaccines to over 20 million people. Australia's governmental health authorities have chosen not to monitor new or emerging cancer trends following the widespread use of these vaccines.
Decided not to monitor.
It is troubling that the Department of Health has not made data on cancer trends post-vaccination publicly available. It is their responsibility to do so. This is a critical gap in public health oversight. Given the massive contamination levels of rogue residual DNA in the Australian vials, we must expect an ongoing rise in cancers and other genetic disorders in Australia. This issue is a potential long-term health crisis waiting to happen. This matter must be taken seriously by every Australian. We must advocate for immediate public health responses. We need our health authorities to begin monitoring these trends.
Wow. So very sad. You know, there's been a lot of stuff actually coming out. You know, I showed this scene over here of RFK calling out Bill Gates, right?
I read an article from the New York Times that Bill Gates had just donated $50 million to Kamala Harris' campaign. And the article said that it was the first donation that he's made in 20 years, that he stayed out of politics, that he's been bipartisan. It was a dark money donation. He didn't intend for it to be public. He routed the donation through a 501c4, which was an organization that was set up to conceal large money donations to the Harris campaign.
Okay. Sorry, that was not the clip I was expecting it to be. But anyways, what are your thoughts, Zach, on the current? I mean, we all knew not to take it, but it's like recently, as in the midst of all this Epstein stuff, even more information coming out on the dangers and terrible effects of taking the experimental use mRNA shots. It's just validating all the things we've been warning people about over the years.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been warning people. I mean, you see in the Epstein emails that Bill Gates and Epstein were both talking about the snake bite, a pandemic beforehand, before it even happened. The event 201, before this even happened, they were planning on it. But I think the craziest part is that Rob predicted this one as well. I mean, if you go back and look at his really earlier videos, he talks about some type of experimental snake bite, and which would pretty much cause the the degradation of people, the bringing back the Nephilim.
Yeah, it's all the people in white lab coats playing God, trying to permanently alter our genome. Oh man. Yeah, I saw this is related to it. Apparently a shocking report that the PCR test was not for COVID, but rather for cloning programs. Very interesting. Okay, so this next clip you're gonna find fascinating. You know, I'm a fan of Owen Benjamin because he really catches a lot of these things, and you know, this is a 13-year-old crisis actor refusing to act in the midst of a like a big drama scene that they're trying to make on the Ingram angle. So check out this crisis actor who's refusing to act.
Awareness, as they call it.
I mean, I think, yeah, but I don't think it should have to be like that, you know? Like, it's kind of dumb.
Lori, Mom, I bet you are protective.
Yeah, we don't know. Yes, of course, of course. I mean, he was only 11 feet away from me when this happened, maybe 12 feet. It's absolutely horrifying. And he's had nightmares. We don't know. Hopefully we are fine and there's nothing more to come. And his little brother, who's 11, who saw everything as well, seeing his brother's neck split open, you know, there might be some trauma and we're very upset.
Well, I can't even. Situation.
Oh man, so I don't know. It was hard to hear that clip a little bit. I'm sorry, guys, but you know, sometimes they trump up these news stories to kind of add to the drama and the horror of our collective consciousness. And yeah, either this kid was trying to go viral or he was a crisis actor that wasn't acting.
Yeah, the best part is like this, like.
He's like, she's flying through her teeth. Right?
Yeah, nightmares.
She took my
about it.
Xbox away. Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up my segment here with just a last few clips on AI, and this is all tied to Rob's research. You know, you can see I've been kind of following a pattern of the current events that are reconfirming how ahead of his time he was. And so hopefully people that are finding Rob's work now, that are finding our show, you're going to see that there's a lot more than just you know, the Nephilim, that Rob was ahead of the curve when it comes to how we are heading into the days of Noah, and it's Agenda 2045 and all the AI stuff. But this was a clip from Joe Rogan and Elon Musk discussing how AI is supposed to be programmed by extinctionists, and we're just going to show a brief amount of this, and then we're going to show where AI technology is today and why, when people program it, if they're, you know, LLMs and their general AI is trained with the mindset that humans are a virus and we need to all be exterminated, like the Georgia Guidestone suggested, then, you know, all the robots we're making that can do cool backflips and, you know, do cool stuff could be used for nefarious purposes.
I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially
what happened to Zach?
Extinctionists.
I don't know.
Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like, most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like, there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the Extinctionist Movement. And he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, there are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Yeah. Does he have friends? That's what always fascinates me.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what happened to Zach, guys. He popped out here. Zach, come back. All right. Yeah. Anyways, so Elon Musk talking about AI being programmed by extinctionists, and his AI is in the running against all the other AIs. And yeah, they're
yep, he's back.
I think it's interesting. Oh, hey, Zach.
Well, I heard him pop
Welcome
in.
back.
Here he is.
Sorry about that.
My hair.
Lost you for
Sorry,
a
no,
minute.
I'm sorry. My phone died. I wasn't paying attention to my phone, and it died.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah, I was showing this clip of Elon Musk and Joe Rogan talking about AI being programmed by extinctionists, and it's interesting because there's been all this talk. Elon's been saying he wants to put data centers in space, which is like the brains of these AIs, and it's all tied to what you're about to see here, which is a data center in New Brunswick was just canceled tonight when hundreds of residents showed up, and they're all fighting big tech, protesting, and they get the data center canceled. But in the face of this great apocalypse and revealing how AI might be used against people, it's no wonder that they want to put data centers in space where we can't burn them down when they're used to control mankind.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
This is what it looks like when people stand up. We are going to be fighting against data centers everywhere in New Jersey.
It's going to be hard.
Each and every one of you again. And we say a big.
Already people are reporting terrible health impacts from living near these data centers, and it's no wonder Elon's like, yeah, we better start using my Starlinks to shoot them into space, or up above us to float on the ether or whatever they do, so that people can't riot and burn them down. Oh man.
There are a lot of data centers in New Jersey, so I'm not sure how they're going to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, they're popping up in Pennsylvania too as well. They're trying to get a lot of farmland.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all tying into the rise of the need for computing brain for the singularity, right? Elon's already saying we've hit AGI in 2026. You're at the top of a roller coaster, about to go down. Don't worry, it's the alien god that they're resurrecting, and the seriousness of it is the all-encompassing kind of monitoring ability, through things like Palantir, that AI has the ability to. It's like Satan gets his dream to be like God, right? The Satan gets his hands and feet everywhere. He becomes omnipresent subtly through like our technology and our information of recording every aspect of our lives, and he's all omnipresent because of our devices literally being his hands, eyes, and feet. This is the system of the image of the beast being manifested in front of us. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny how it's all kind of done by the hands of Elon Musk, who's I think it was her babysitter, or his babysitter came out and said that, asked his mother pretty much if he was the Antichrist, and she said no, he is the one that's going to bring about the mark. And I actually met this woman down at SpiracyCon with John Pounders. It was pretty interesting.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like he's portraying himself as this conservative figure. He's portraying Grok as the only good AI. And also, by the way, Grok is, making contracts with the U.S. government, and Elon the whole time has been buddies with the guy who made Palantir. And so it's kind of like what is being presented, and the likable meme lord of Elon Musk is kind of a facade in front of his connections. And it makes me wonder, which AI in the end will end up being this all-encompassing AGI, and who's going to win the AI race, because that's really what we're seeing is this war of different mankind created AI gods. So you have OpenAI, you have all the different models that are being pitted against each other right now, and it kind of makes me wonder if there's ever going to be like a truly pure good AI that, you know, we could download offline and have it help us or something. But then it's like, are you also selling your soul by even dabbling in it, you know, into this whole thing, you know?
It's a touchy subject there, man. But it's funny how in the Bible, before Joshua got to the promised land, he had to battle a place called Ai. And Joshua and Yeshua kind of have the same kind of story. They're like, you know, Joshua's story was kind of, you know, what Yeshua was going to do. And it's funny that when Yeshua does come down, one thing he's going to have to battle is AI.
Well, the battle with AI might look kind of like this, guys. Check out this recent video out of China of Unitree humanoids firing Type 191 rifles.
跨域协同作战演练在某战术训练基地悄然展开。与以往不同，此次亮相演兵场的是一支由国产语数系列智能作战单元与机械狼仿生突击平台混编而成的人机协同战术小队。演练模拟复杂战场环境下对要点目标实施清剿。此次演练重点检验了智能化作战单元在城市战、丛林战等复杂地形中的自主协同目标分配与火力打击能力，标志着我国在无人化、智能化作战体系建设领域又迈出了坚实一步。央视军事频道特约观察员报道，近日一场跨域协同作战演练在某战术训练基地悄然展开。与以往不同，此次亮相演兵场的是一支由国产语数系列智能作战单元。
Well, I think what this makes me think of, guys, is just that, you know, maybe that 200 million man army that, you know, crosses the Euphrates is a bunch of robots. You know what I mean?
You know, what I don't understand in China is they have over 1 billion people. They could get a huge army together, and I'm not sure why they would need robots. You know, I mean, God, you know, you could take robots down a lot easier than a human.
Well, you don't have to feed them, though.
Yeah.
True. That's true. But you also have to build them. And when you build them and one gets blown up, you know, you got to build more and more and more. And pretty soon your resources are up. So I don't know. And of course, China has always had a population problem. So I don't know, just kind of crazy.
Wow. Well, you know, I think what's really exciting is that, you know, if you are found worthy to escape all these things and get to witness the culmination of the age, right? Whatever the Messiah does to, you know, usurp, you know, and undermine this system and destroy it, you know, that scene's going to be epic because there's, you know, this is like the giant of our generation. And just like the Israelites had to face off against the giants in a way, you know, we also have to face our own spiritual and physical giants, so to speak, in this day and age. And yeah, just like Steven Skiba said, stuck up on those EMP pulse grenades. Yeah.
I was thinking that as the robots were jumping, I'm like, an EMP would definitely work.
Well, Opa, that's all the stories. I know we went a little long, but we definitely have a couple really good ones from Opa that we want to cover before we wrap up our stream tonight, guys. So, Opa, how about you kick us off here?
Okay, sure. There was one thing. There was a. I'm trying to find it right now, quick. There was a story that I wanted to do that it wasn't on my list there, Jake, and it had to do with. Here we go. Had to do with Epstein, and it's very short. I don't know. I haven't seen this video because the actual video that I had, I lost somehow. So let's take a listen to see what this particular report has about Epstein. Well, it didn't do what I wanted to say, but what it had to do with is that while Epstein was in jail, he provided money to schools in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Somewhere, actually, it said 28,000, but I think somewhere else it said almost close to $50,000 that he provided to schools here in Dallas, Texas, which was just crazy for me. I couldn't understand that.
Yeah, you see this comment? It's so funny. It's so true, though. 10 years later, and we're still dealing with this creep.
Right.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
sorry.
Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so now let me get on. My stories are going to be more human interest than they are going to be, this dark, deep, troubling news that we hear all the time. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
To lighten it up a bit.
Let's lighten it up a little bit. So my first story has to do with good old Amelia Earhart and what's been going on with her. Now, I've had stories about her before in the last few weeks, but here's a new story that they're still trying to find her, and they've got different ways of trying to find her. So here it is.
I've been looking for Amelia Earhart's plane ever since she went missing in 1937. I keep tabs on a lot of these search efforts, from the serious to the absurd to the guys who think that Amelia is still alive and partying with Elvis and Tupac. But a recent effort from a group called Nauticos caught my attention, so I wrote about it for PopMech. See, most of these searchers are aware that there are these transcripts of radio broadcasts that Amelia Earhart made from her plane. She was broadcasting to a Coast Guard ship called the Itzaka when her line went dead. What this group did is source the exact model radio that Amelia Earhart had on her plane, as well as the recipient radio on the Itzaka. They took this replica Amelia Earhart radio up in the air, while they kept the other radio on board a ship on the water and ran a series of tests testing range and signal. They compiled all of this data into an 88-page report. Now, they hope the data they compiled in this report will be able to find Amelia Earhart's final resting place. And I'm sorry to report, none of those 88 pages have any mention of Elvis or Tupac.
So this is an image of the radios that they found, some radios that matched exactly to what Amelia Earhart had. And, they put one on, put a couple of the transmitters and receivers on an airplane. And then they had the ship have the same kind of transmitters and receivers that the ship had. And Amelia Earhart actually had given coordinates in their last transmission, compass coordinates. And so what they're trying to do now is, by doing all this testing and stuff, they can get a more generalized area based on how far these transmitters and receivers could go distance wise, and give them a general area as to where they think she might have gone down. So I don't know if that's ever going to work out, but it's interesting.
I've been fascinated in Amelia Earhart since I was a young boy. I remember when I first heard the story and heard about her disappearing, like I had that like wonder. I'm like, oh, I wonder where she went. I remember it being like one of those stories and historical figures that maybe it's meant to be that way. Maybe many people of my same age and generation got that same kind of story fed to them, where we got like this like emotional connection with Amelia. But I've been, thinking about Amelia since I was a young boy, it seems like, and it's cool that, people are trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that Princeton team is supposed to go in March to that island where they think the airplane is underwater, that they've seen it from the satellite, and they're going to go check it out. So they're still trying to hunt it down. Who knows?
Yes, some other people in the chat also. Cool.
Yep. It would be nice if they found her plane to try to get some closure, try to figure out what's going on. Okay, so keeping with airplanes, here's a story that has to do with Trump.
National Airport in Florida is one step closer to changing its name to honor President Trump. Florida lawmakers just approved a bill to rename Palm Beach International Airport after Trump. The measure passed on Thursday and now heads to Governor Ron DeSantis for his signature. If DeSantis signs it, that change wouldn't come cheap. Reports estimate it could cost up to $5.5 million. The bill, filed by State Representative Meg Weinberger, would give Florida the authority to rename major airports in the state, including Palm Beach International. Now, Republican leaders in the state say they support the move because Trump is the first president to make Florida his primary residence after leaving office. And attorneys for President Trump have filed trademark applications for Donald J. Trump International Airport and DJT, according to filings with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Earlier this year, Trump attended a ceremony at Mar-a-Lago marking the renaming of a stretch of Southern Boulevard, which is the main route from the airport to the club as President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. Bill Clinton is the most recent president to have a commercial airport named after him, with Little Rock National Airport renamed the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in 2012. This proposal would still need approval.
You think they're going to keep it after the FC5?
I don't know.
Require an agreement between Palm Beach County and the trademark holder to allow commercial use of the name.
Wow.
Amelia
Trump
Earhart's
looks to put his name on everything, man. Trump is putting his name on everything, it seems like.
Well, there's also talking about renaming the airport in Washington, Dulles Airport, to Trump. And of course, he's already done the music hall or whatever that is there in DC. And he also wants to have the stadium, the JFK Stadium in Washington, renamed for him. So he likes to have things named for him. I mean,
also the big boat. Remember, he came out announcing they're going to build a aircraft carrier even grander than the Gerald Ford that we saw in the video earlier, and it's going to be called a Trump class cruiser or whatever.
Right. So yeah.
So he owned an airline. Trump has owned an airline before, and they went belly up about 2 years into it.
Yeah, Trump airline, right? Yeah. But he has this thing for flying and planes and things named after him. What can I say? Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he wouldn't want some other monuments or something renamed for him, or at least his name added to it instead of the Lincoln Memorial. Maybe it would be the Trump Lincoln Memorial or something. Okay, so let's go on. Also, keeping with Trump, we have some more news about Denmark and Greenland.
Denmark's defense minister on Sunday dismissed suggestions that Greenland requires outside medical assistance, after United States President Donald Trump claimed he was dispatching a hospital ship to the autonomous Danish territory he has long expressed interest in acquiring. The Greenlandic population receives the healthcare it needs, Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen told Danish broadcaster Doctor. They receive it either in Greenland, or, if they require specialized treatment, they receive it in Denmark. So it's not as if there's a need for a special healthcare initiative in Greenland. He added that he was unaware of any imminent arrival of a U.S. hospital ship. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform that a great hospital boat was on its way to treat many people who are sick and not being taken care of there, without providing evidence or details. The post included an apparent AI-generated image of the USNS Mercy sailing toward Greenland's snow-capped coast. The remarks came a day after Denmark's Arctic Command evacuated a crew member from a U.S. submarine near Nuuk for urgent medical attention. Trump has argued the U.S. must control Greenland for security reasons, though he recently agreed on a framework deal with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte aimed at expanding U.S. influence. Healthcare in Greenland and Denmark is publicly funded and free.
Okay, so what do y'all think
did
about
you guys see this comment over here? Just real quick, did you see somebody said Amelia Earhart was the first trans to make a transatlantic flight. This is almost on the level of another very famous flight of somebody who's blind and deaf. Almost that big of a bait and switch. Wow, I got to look into that now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look into it.
Sorry. So what was his excuse for sending the medical ship? I missed that.
Apparently there was an incident where somebody was sick in a submarine or something, and they needed care, and of course they didn't get it from Greenland. So he said, "Well, man, let's send a ship over there. Let's send our medical ship over there." So also, I think it's his way of trying to, get more and more influence into Greenland, maybe, and try to make the Greenlanders think that hey, we're pretty good guys. But I don't think he's going about it the right way. Okay, so let's see here. Our next story. I'll look at my page here. Oh, this is last week we talked about our Ring cameras and Flock, and about them recording and looking for dogs and looking for people, and that we were worried about the fact that we were going to lose our rights to privacy and what have you, because they're going to be able to just keep track of us by just going through all these cameras and always know what we're doing and where we're going. So here's a news story about what's happening with Flock cameras right now.
And a crime alert tonight. The Springfield Police Department is working to identify the suspects who cut down 3 Flock camera poles recently. Now, those cameras located near 42nd and Jasper were damaged and left on the ground. Eugene police say they also experienced vandalism to at least 6 of their Flock cameras that had to be replaced. No arrests have been made in either jurisdiction, but this is considered criminal mischief. At a recent Eugene City Council meeting, the council voted to turn off the cameras. Springfield's cameras are also not operational as the city continues a discussion on community needs.
So they're cutting them down.
Yeah, which is like, what's the point, though? I mean, they're literally watching you right now through your phone, so you're going to go chop down the pole because you think it's somehow worse?
I don't know. And it's not just that city. It's all over the United States. Apparently, people are starting to, try to sabotage or whatever the Flock cameras, because they didn't like them following them, And a lot of them are just license plate readers. So this isn't just a one-time thing in that one city. It's all over the United States. So found that was quite a human interest story.
Reminds me of the data center riots where they're just like, no, we're gonna riot until shut it down. We're gonna cut all those Flock cameras down.
Right.
Well.
All right. So the next. Yeah. We've been talking about about how people are fleeing California, especially the billionaires or the big money guys are fleeing to Florida or Texas or Nevada or I think, those are the main places that they've been fleeing to. And so we have another guy that is fleeing from California.
Influential movie director Steven Spielberg and his wife moving to the Big Apple. He's directed popular films, including Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws. This comes as a workers' union says it's going to need a bigger tax on billionaires in California. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Hollywood director Steven Spielberg is the latest California billionaire to buy property outside the Golden State, as voters prepare to decide on a billionaire wealth tax this year. Known for iconic movies like E.T., the Indiana Jones series, and Jaws,
you're going to need a bigger boat.
The renowned Hollywood director recently purchased an apartment in a New York City co-op. Other wealthy individuals, such as Mark Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin, have also purchased homes outside California. Zuckerberg and his wife recently bought property in South Florida's so-called billionaire bunker. people have speculated that the state's proposed billionaire wealth tax could be motivating high net worth individuals to look for residency elsewhere. Spielberg's spokesperson told the LA Times Steven's move to the East Coast is both long planned and driven purely by his and Kate Capshaw's desire to be closer to their New York-based children and grandchildren. According to California's wealth tax proposal, residents with a net worth of more than $1 billion would be hit with a one-time emergency wealth tax of 5% to help cover health care and education for the state. The proposal is backed by a health care workers union. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he opposes the wealth tax proposal. If the measure is approved by voters, any billionaire who was a California resident on January 1st, 2026 would owe the tax. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
So,
Steven Spielberg. He has a laundry list of interesting things he has put in his films that make me wonder how connected to a certain list he is.
well, who knows? I haven't heard anything about a list, but who knows? He could be. All right. So this next story is something that's, again, it's happening here in Texas. And I think I've had a story on it a little bit before about it, but it's about how new houses are being built. And this happens to be in Austin, Texas. So let's take a listen to this.
3D printers are helping to address the housing crisis in America by 3D printed homes. Yes, you heard right. Fox Business's Jeff Flock is live from a 3D printed neighborhood in Austin, Texas. Jeff.
Maria, good morning. I got a good one for you this morning. Yeah, the future is exploding all around us. I am standing in front of a 3D printed house. Look at this. This is actually made out of concrete, and it's made with a 3D printer. And on the right side of your screen, you are looking at how it is done. It is the latest technology from a company called Icon. It is the Titan printer, and it essentially extrudes concrete out. It can frame a house in just one day. It's pretty amazing. We talked to the visionary behind this. He's the co-founder of Icon and the CEO, and he tells us this is the future of home building. Take a listen.
It is more energy efficient, it is stronger, resilient to natural disasters. It truly is, with regard to human comfort, cost, speed, architectural possibility, it is like measurably better in every way that we care to measure buildings.
And Maria, this is not just pie in the sky here. They built 100 homes in a community outside of Texas, all sold by Lennar quickly. I'm in a neighborhood right now in Austin, Texas, where there are a dozen of these going up. We talked to one of the buyers, one of the first-time home buyers who chose to buy a 3D printed house. She says she just loves it. It's energy efficient and it's solid. Listen.
It would take a lot to break down these walls or have ants funnel through the layers of concrete. So it seems sturdy to me.
I'll start off for you. And I leave you with a picture from inside the house, Maria. All of the walls, as you see, perhaps are curved. You can sort of build any way you want. It's kind of like just a blank palette. And they say this could be the future. They go up very fast. As you know, we need homes built quickly, and we don't have enough people to do it.
So, the future of home building.
There goes my job.
Yeah. Well, unless you try to get a 3D printer and figure it out, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way. If they are moving everything towards robotization, right? And they have robots replace the need for a construction crew, and people stop going into the trades and stop being, carpenters and craftsmen and people that can build a house themselves, and we become dependent on a robot splooshing out this, concrete, then, ultimately it's a win-win for the person who owns the robots, because they steal the job away from all the men who actually can build it with their own two hands. And then once they undercut that price with this real cheap, real nice, affordable, 3D printed housing, then push them out of the market. They can bump their prices and, do what they want. It's kind of like a, interesting takeover from another sector being taken over by robots.
Right. It reminds me of, the business that we started back in 1971 for the apparel industry was to computerize them, because what was happening is that all of the pattern making and creating of the garments and everything was a trade, and it was passed down from generation to generation. But the later generation kids just weren't interested. They didn't want to do what their parents had been doing as far as making apparel. And so the industry itself was very very short on people who could create the patterns and the garments efficiently and make money. So what we did was we found the master pattern makers and the master marker makers and what have you, and we took all of that information out of their brains and programmed it into a computer, and we gave that as a tool to people who maybe were not master pattern makers or what have you, but they could use that as a tool to create the garments and also to cut them out. They couldn't find people that would actually cut the fabric and whatever, so we created a computer control cutter, just like what you see for doing the houses. Maybe what's happening is they just, if they can't find enough people to build the houses, maybe this is a way to try to alleviate that. But I don't know. It's just a thought. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, I don't know, because you would have to. Who's going to mix the concrete? Who's going to pour the concrete into the robot? I mean, eventually there has to be a person maybe at the helm of it with the remote control controlling it. But it's because I'm a commercial painter, so I'm like always on commercial job sites, and I see how things are built all the time. And I always thought that the commercial side of just building things would be the last one to go. Like, I don't see a robot painting a wall anytime soon, which I do see. There's a lot of new things coming out and stuff like that, but there's a lot of different things involved in building that some things go wrong, and that's just how it happens, and you have to make up for that. And I don't see a robot being able to stop those mistakes and do stuff like that. So I don't know.
How many people does it take to build a house, to set up the framing and all that, and put the roof on, and put the drywall on and what have you? It's I think that's what I was kind of referring to. The families and what have you, the people that build houses, their children and kids just don't want to build houses anymore. It's too much labor. They were brought up to play iPads and Xboxes and PlayStations and watch TV and what have you, and they're just not into building houses.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd worry a little bit about painting, because a computer can paint it too. The same as it can make lay down the concrete, it can also go out there and spray paint it. So who knows? Our job when we created the systems for the apparel industry was not to replace people. We're not interested in replacing people. We just wanted to give them a tool to make their job easier and better, so that they can make the garments better. Unfortunately, a lot of the apparel business left the United States and went to Mexico, went to Asia, went to Puerto Rico, and God knows wherever else, because the labor rates were still too high, even using our tools. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with these houses. I don't know if I like them or not either.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see the next story here. happens to be with Disney, and a place that Jeremiah and I went to several times. And actually, this place in Disneyland we've been at many, many times. So let's take a listen to this.
A scary moment at the happiest place on earth as a large tree falls onto guests during strong winds from these storms. This happened on the patio of the Plaza Inn just after 11:30 last night while couples celebrated Sweethearts Night. LaWanda Joseph and her husband Mark traveled there from Las Vegas. They say they were waiting for a Lady and the Tramp photo when the ficus tree fell on top of them.
I heard the snap and then I saw it fall. And then as it fell, I ran over to my wife and tried to help her as much as I could.
I was knocked down by the tree. And so my husband pretty much lifted the branches and stuff off of me. And that's when all the staff came over.
Now, the couple was treated on site for minor injuries. Disney says the fire department cleared the tree overnight and that no one else was seated in that patio area at the time. Despite the scare, the Josephs still plan to go back to Disneyland this June.
So
they look like big fans.
Yeah. We've been sitting out on that patio before too. Someone asked where Jeremiah. Yeah, the Plaza Inn. Somebody asked where Jeremiah was, so let's refresh people. He's hanging out with Jim Burr. So
yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Oh boy. Okay, so my last two little stories I have here. Well, I don't know about little, but you know, I've been given stories about Waymo here and Waymo there and Waymo everywhere. And so I've got a couple of unfortunate Waymo stories. Waymo and Tesla have both had to go to Washington to be questioned by Congress. So this first story happens to be about their questioning. So let's take a listen to this.
Executives from Waymo and Tesla defended their self-driving vehicle technology in testimony before the Senate Commerce Committee today. Both companies are urging Congress to advance long-stalled legislation that will speed up the deployment of self-driving cars. Leaders from Tesla and Waymo insisted their driving systems are safer than humans, despite recent incidents of the cars failing to yield to school buses and a case in January where a self-driving taxi hit a child in California. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has more.
Doesn't sleep, doesn't blink, and doesn't get tired.
Top executives from Tesla and Waymo told the Senate Commerce Committee Wednesday their self-driving technology saves lives.
Our data shows that we are 10 times less likely to be involved in a serious injury collision as compared to human drivers.
But the tech giants also admit it's a work in progress. At least 24 times in the last year, Waymo's failed to yield to school buses in Austin. Texas Senator Ted Cruz asked Waymo's chief safety officer what the company is doing to stop it from happening again.
How do you verify that these changes will protect school bus riders moving forward?
And we are working with the Austin Independent School District to collect data on different lighting patterns and different conditions. And we're continuously learning and improving because our work is safety is never done.
Lawmakers are looking to craft legislation to regulate the rollout of autonomous vehicles and set a safety standard that puts Americans at ease.
And the freedom that will give elderly people is such a comfort to me as I become an elderly people.
Wyoming Senator Cynthia Loomis is also thinking of her grandsons and how they could benefit from a car that stops them from making bad decisions behind the wheel.
And I hope they don't exercise poor judgment, but they're boys, and they might.
Waymo and Tesla say it's imperative the U.S. moves quickly to support self-driving vehicles to prevent China from taking the lead. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, San Francisco.
So that's one report from Washington, and here's one that's a little more concerning.
Yes or no, does Waymo employ humans located remotely to help its vehicles navigate difficult driving scenarios?
Senator, they provide guidance. They do not remotely drive the vehicles. as you stated, Waymo asks for guidance in certain situations and gets an input, but the Waymo vehicle is always in charge of the dynamic driving task. So that is just one additional inputs.
But the human being helps the vehicle to navigate those difficult driving scenarios. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So are all of these human operators located in the United States? Are they all here?
No, we have some in the U.S. and some abroad.
So how does that break down? What percent are abroad?
Senator, I don't have that number for you. We can get back to you.
Is it a majority or abroad?
I just don't have that number.
Well, that's very curious that someone who's running the program has no idea how that workforce breaks down. It just seems kind of curious that you don't know that answer. But are some of these operators located outside the United States?
Yeah, some are located abroad.
Yeah, and so for me, that's fairly shocking.
Toot toot.
Waymo has critical safety employees who may need to intervene in a split second if a Waymo encounters an unknown dangerous situation
in call centers in the Philippines.
Located in the United States, but they are outside the United States. In what countries are these employees located?
The Philippines.
Jimmy?
The Philippines.
So they are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Mr. Pena, that is completely unacceptable.
Ano
Here's
bang
why.
hapon?
Having people overseas influencing American vehicles is a safety issue. The information the operators receive could be out of date. It could introduce tremendous cybersecurity vulnerabilities. We don't know if these people have U.S. driver's licenses. And let's not forget, Waymo is trying to replace the jobs of hardworking taxi and rideshare drivers. And now you're saying that of the human beings, the human jobs that remain in the system, you're shipping those jobs overseas. It's one thing when a taxi is replaced by an Uber or a Lyft. It's another thing when the jobs just go completely overseas.
Well.
So, poor Waymo. I mean, what do y'all think?
Would you ride in a Waymo, Zach? Have you?
I would not get into anything I cannot control. I'm sorry. I just, nah.
Yeah, they're coming to Dallas, and I don't know. I just silence, I guess. Nobody's really wild about the idea of Waymo coming to their area. So,
when you get in the Waymo in Dallas, you can say, "Take me to Jollibee," and the Waymo will speak back to you and it'll be like, "Oh." It's a Filipino joke there.
Yeah, it might actually try to take me there, though.
That's cool.
All right. Well, as some people have pointed out here on our chat, that Jeremiah is not with us. He's actually attending a Jim Brewer event and kind of hanging out with him. And so, since he's not here, he's not able to do his please excuse my humor. And so, in place of his please do not excuse my humor, I kind of threw together a little short segment that still is Opa's please excuse my bad, please excuse my humor replacement. Okay. So let's take a little humorous look to try to lighten things up.
Love your title.
No, I've been around a while myself. One of my favorite quotations about age comes from Thomas Jefferson. He said that we should never judge a president by his age, only by his work. And ever since he told me that, I've stopped worrying. Just to show you how youthful I am, I intend to campaign in all 13 states.
The story of Lazarus, you know that story? You guys know that story? How does it go?
Like Jesus take the wheel? Like where did that even come from? What do you mean? Like there's no biblical evidence that Jesus even knew how to drive. Bro, Jesus drove a Honda. What? Bro, do you not read the Bible? He didn't like talking about it. Look, John chapter 12, verse 49, he says, "For I do not speak of my own accord." Yeah, you going to hell.
A slice of apple pie costs $2.50 in Jamaica, $3.75 in Bermuda, and $3 in the Bahamas.
Are we supposed to?
No, but those are the pie rates of the Caribbean.
Someone get this bird a medal.
You have 3 wishes.
I wish I was always right.
Your wish is granted. You have 2 wishes.
No, I have 3.
Just received an urgent message from police. They're looking for a missing dad.
The girl only had a drawing of her father. She didn't have a photo, just this drawing of her her father.
Have an update from police.
Officers have now located the father just moments ago.
Congratulations on paying off your house. Thank you. I finally own my home. I love that for you. Now pay property taxes. Wait. For what? For owning the home. But I already paid for the home. Yes. That was for the structure. And the land? That's rented. For who? Us. For how long? Forever. And if I stop paying, we take the house. But I bought it. Correct. And now you maintain it for us. So this is renting? No. This is home ownership. So what did I actually buy? A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases. And what do I get with that? The privilege of not being evicted this year. Love it. 5 stars.
Okay, so that's my unfortunate, please excuse my humor. Which one did you like, Jake?
Oh man, I didn't know where the Honda one was gonna go, but then I was like, we'll be of one accord. Like, oh man. Well, how about you, Zach? What was your favorite?
I think the newsroom where the guy was, his face was on the floor.
That's my favorite as well.
That was a good one.
Man. Well, yeah, it's been really great having you on, Zach. I did want to just take just 2 or 3 minutes. I know we've gone a little bit longer. I told you 1 hour. So how's your time looking? You got to get back to the family real quick, or
my wife put the kids down, but I appreciate it. I got some time. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to give you maybe a good 5 minutes to share what's on your radar. We really appreciate your content. Like I said, he's one of the most banned TikTokers we know in person, and a lot of it, like you said, is because you've been posting Rob's stuff. So we highly appreciate your opinion. And so, what's been on your radar? Is there anything that you've noticed, or concurrent news, or topics that you've been digging into that you would want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just been kind of seeing everyone look down deep into the Epstein files, and everyone's kind of just horrified of what they're seeing. And for us truth seekers, we kind of knew this was going on. It wasn't really confirmed, but we knew this type of stuff was going on. But now to have it validated in front of the whole world, it's kind of it's kind of cool. You know, we're like, hey, we told you so. But Also, I do see a lot of people seeing hopeless. There's just hopelessness. They don't know what to do. They don't know what's going to come next. And I just want to kind of encourage people that, sharing the gospel is what will save people. And right now, more than ever, people need to hear the gospel. I mean, we are called to be lights on a hill. And I believe that we should all be shining a light on all of this darkness right now. And just presenting the gospel as kind of a way out of this sticky situation that we're in, because I feel like they're really priming us for some type of savior, some type of alien, some type of event that is going to push us into the arms of this so-called antichrist.
Yeah, there's actually a story I didn't show tonight, but it was Stephen Greer, the famous UFO informant guy, coming out talking about this year alien disclosure, and just last week, President Trump making those comments about Obama's statements on the aliens, going like, "Oh, he could get in trouble, but I'm going to release it all." And so the alien thing is coming quick and fast, man. What do you think it's going to be? How do you think they're going to drop it?
I personally think it's totally a cover up for the Epstein stuff, but I do think that they're going to give us some bit of evidence to chew on to get us off of that whole subject for a while. It could be video, it could be some type of biological entity. I'm not totally sure, but I do see these days are starting to get interesting, and it's really starting to seem like we're heading towards those final end days scenario.
For sure. I did have one last thing that I really wanted to show everybody, and I had forgot. It was sent to us from a great supporter of the show, and our friends. Check this article out, which is just absolutely interesting. I'm pulling it up here. One moment. So this, you're going to find this interesting as well, Zach. So a fossil hunter, right? A prehistoric bone hunter goes viral after unearthing a massive woolly mammoth femur from a river in Missouri. And this just happened as of February 20th. Very interesting. Yeah, a prehistoric bone hunter discovered a massive mammoth bone in a river in Missouri. Let's see if there's any footage of this.
Here we
Let's
go.
see here.
Oh, there's ice in the water. Come on, baby. Be real. Be real. Please be a big bone. Is it? Oh, I think it's... Hey, dude, is it? Oh, I know that feeling. Oh.
Now, is it a mammoth bone or is it a Nephilim bone, Zach? What do you think?
Yeah. I shared this video in my Nephilim hybrid channel on Facebook, and I totally think it's a giant femur bone from a human.
Oh my God.
I mean, look at that thing.
Oh, my beautiful.
Holy man,
Wow.
maybe, definitely maybe.
Oh, it's
Like,
80 pounds.
that's
Wow.
crazy.
Oh, I'm in the ice.
Look at that. That really does look like a human bone.
Oh, it's so solid.
I mean,
yes.
Wow.
It would be cool to get Joe Taylor's perspective on that if he was still alive. It would be really cool to get his perspective.
Oh man, I miss Joe Taylor so much. I got to hang out with him out of his museum, and if you guys haven't heard of Joe Taylor, you guys for sure need to look up some of his content that he put out over the years. He was the guy that molded the Nephilim skull that was behind Rob in all of his videos. If you guys are curious and how that connects, and just very cool.
which is now behind Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he also.
Yeah, the femur bone. There's a famous picture of him and Rob that have circulated the internet, and I think it's a femur bone, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think he casted that one as well.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could pull it up real quick. Actually, oh man, it's buried in the internet somewhere. But anyways, Zach, thanks so much for coming. Everybody, make sure to go and check out Zach's stuff. One of his channels will come out under, one of his pseudonyms here, Z Lewis 777 or something along those lines. He's got to keep making them as they ban them.
Yeah, I got to change it up every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. And also, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the Mad Tinfoil Hat Expo that happened here in Dallas. The people we got to meet there at Jeremiah's presentation recently were very cool. I had never been in person. This is the first time I got to go, and I just wanted to say hey to that crowd. They are really awesome. I got to go and hang out with Jeremiah and meet his friends there that have been very warm and welcoming to him over the years as he presents there. It's at the Mad Tinfoil Hatters at the Sky Pony Gallery is what the name of the people who put this event on. So just wanted to give them a shout out and tell them I really love their event. I look forward to being there next time. And with that said, Opal, you want to let's end off with the TRUTHERCON ad.
Yeah, that's talking about events. Let's do it.
Welcome to TRUTHERCON. Our vision is to grow the largest and most profound exposition of truth in the modern age. Here, no truth is beyond reproach. An amazing opportunity for you guys to connect with one another, for us to ask hard questions for the presenters that are coming up, because we're all here with a common goal, to seek after truth together, seek after truth together.
Truthers come, welcome to the con. Largest, bestest we've ever been on. World stage, amazing speakers. Lifting the veil, we the truth seekers. TRUTHERCON, we're on. Come along. Join the TRUTHERCON. Join the TRUTHERCON. Speakers exposing the dark, the shadow, the arc. From start to the finish, the feeling is real. Concealing is peeling, revealing the dealings. Uncovering truth, it's a ride to the ceiling. Wake up, what do you see? Could it be? Who are we? No, not me, it's all a conspiracy. It's a smoke screen, and I don't mean the weed. When I say these days, nothing's as it seems. From big pharma to big tech to big food to big banks. Big dudes making big moves. Keep you down and depressed in the press, cause your heart is heavy and your brain is confused. The Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and the Bushes and the Clintons. Man, the whole system is wild, and it takes a village, they protect the child. Take the vaccine, well, ain't that convenient? It's a circle jerk, bunch of perverts, elitists, running the world, pulling the strings like puppets. They was a way to call another minute, proving out the truth uncovered. It's been going on for centuries. I don't trust the news or the TV or the priest. They say the Bible was written by man, so who do you trust? I don't trust the government, the voice of the people. They hear it, they fear it, they feel it. We nearly at the limit. With truth is limitless. Truth is limitless. Truth. We the truth seekers. This is TRUTHERCON. Join us. Truthers come. Welcome to the con. Largest, bestest we've ever been on. World stage, amazing speakers. Lifting the veil. We the truth seekers. TRUTHERCon. War. Come along. Join the TRUTHERCon. Join the TRUTHERCon.
Bigger and better than ever before.
What?
Oops,
sorry.
Well, hey. Awesome.
And
Well,
sorry,
Sorry,
I was
that
going
was
to
sick,
say,
man.
yeah, and if you like that tune, it is now available on iTunes. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Spotify. It's available on iHeartRadio. It's available on all the different platforms that you can conceive of. Just look up TRUTHERCon or look up the artist Skiba, Skeeba, because that's Jeremiah. And that's what he put together for TruthErCon.
Oh, wow. Nice. I'm going to
Nice.
use that for a video. I'll create a video with that in the background. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Zach, the biblical saying, the words of Christ, if somebody comes to you and asks you to bear their burden with them a mile, go with them too. And I just want to say, everybody, I asked Zach to be on here for an hour and he stuck with us double. So you are an exemplifier of the very words of the Messiah himself. So I want to say thank you, Zach, for going with us the extra mile, buddy.
No problem. Thank you for bringing me on. I really enjoyed it. It's very humbling. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. See you, everybody. Thanks for joining the stream. Drop a like, and we'll see you guys next Friday.
Adios. Happy trails to you until we meet again.